How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball. Welcome back to yet another transfer update, and quite a lot to get through today. And we will be starting with the Usman Dembele story. Romano saying that PSG did not activate Usman Dembele's 50 million release clause. However, they have activated a private agreement clause for the same amount. Dembele has already signed a pre-contract with PSG, and the French club will pay 50 million euros and not a penny more. And the reason they have come to this kind of agreement is just a way to forego the 50% clause that Usman Dembele gets. So this whole 100% of the fee will be going to Barcelona now, as Dario AS have confirmed. They say Barcelona will receive 100% of the 50 million. PSG will pay for Usman Dembele as opposed to the 50%. So a bit of a clever accounting by Barcelona to get around this clause.
Yeah, and I think it works for everyone except for Usman Dembele, who would have been getting 50% of the fee, but he's getting his move to PSG, and I'm sure maybe they're going to be paying extra for that anyway to him to make sure it gets over the line. And I think that so he wanted this move to PSG. Apparently, it was kind of running out of time. So, I mean, I don't know what Barcelona did to delay this deal, but very good for them, because they're now getting the full amount, and that can allow them to maybe replace Usman Dembele when it would have been very, very difficult to do that on a budget of like 25 million euros. So, I think it's a great move for PSG. I think Usman Dembele is one of the most underrated players in European football. I think he's got the absolute profile to completely explode. I thought last season it was excellent for Barcelona, and I think PSG have got a brilliant winger. Shame for Barcelona. I'm sure they're gutted about it, but maybe they can now replace him with the person up next.
Yeah, I would caveat though, like, up until a year ago, we didn't know about Usman Dembele, about his attitude problems and about stuff like that surrounding Usman Dembele. So if that does rear its head again, then it could be a bit of a dodgy signing from PSG.
I think it's a great signing. I think he's brilliant. I think he had a lot of injury problems.
But you might not have been saying that a year ago.
Yeah, because he had injury problems. But I think the injuries have now subsided, and I think he's been playing consistently for about 18 months now, and he's been at the top of his game. And I think he's two-footed, can play on both wings. I think he's an exciting signing for PSG.
I think from PSG's point of view, yes. I mean, the quality of player they're getting is better than anyone that they have in that position, and probably better than anyone that they can get for that fee. That's for sure. But, there are question marks in terms of attitude and injury problems, like you say. Yes, he has been injury clear for the last 18 months, but who knows what can happen in the future. But I do agree with you that it is a very good signing for PSG. In terms of the next one that we're going to talk about is Xiao Felix, as Sport are claiming that Barcelona will reactivate their interest in signing Xiao Felix if Usman Dembele leaves the club, which looks like that is happening now. And this is a transfer we spoke about yesterday in our transfer predictions, and it looks like it could be coming to pass.
Yeah, and I think so. I think it's a perfect replacement for Usman Dembele, albeit they play slightly different positions. But Xiao Felix can be very versatile. He can play central, he can play on the left, maybe he can play off the right as well. I think he's hungry to join Barcelona. I actually think, in a weird way, Felix, in terms of like quality, maybe is not better than Dembele, but in terms of potential effectiveness in the final third, like scoring goals and stuff like that, I think he's got the potential to have a higher ceiling than Dembele. I think Dembele's more of an assister, whereas I think Felix could really be a goal scorer if he starts being a lot more ruthless in front of goal, which I think he has the potential to. So I think this is going to be a really exciting signing if Barcelona can pull it off. I think the fee is going to surprise a few people in terms of, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the fee that Atletico Madrid paid for him. I think they'll, at this point, given the years that they loaned him out in January, they really want rid of him. So I think the fee is going to be in and around what Usman Dembele went to PSG, probably a bit higher, but not that far off. So I think it's a good deal for everyone.
Yeah, definitely agreed, and it could allow Atletico Madrid as well to concentrate on other signings, as per Pierre-Emile Højbjerg as well.
Let's hope.
But let's move on and let's go to the Premier League and talk about Demarai Gray. And Rob Dorset from Sky has said that Fulham have reached a verbal agreement with Everton to sign Demarai Gray, but he won't be allowed to leave until Sean Dyche has found a replacement. David Ornstein has chimed in and he said Everton continue talks over the sale of Demarai Gray. Personal terms have been agreed with Fulham. Clubs are part in the valuation, but dialogue ongoing. 27-year-old winger is not training at the moment. And Besiktas Crystal Palace also interested, and he is going into the last 12 months months of his Everton contract as well. Is this one that makes sense for you?
I mean, I don't know why he keeps getting Premier League moves. I don't get it, because he's just so average, and he's proven it time and time again. I think he's got the odd banger in him in terms of like the odd goal from 25 yards, but he just reminds me of a Junior Hoyler or a Nathan Redmond, someone who's just so inconsistent, but comes up with the odd moment of quality to keep basically buying himself a move to the Premier League. I don't think he's good enough to be starting week in, week out for Fulham. I'm sure he'll get them 1 or 2 goals this season, but I think in general, I think he's very inconsistent. He's largely anonymous a lot in games. I think he's quick and he's decent with the ball at his feet, but I think he's just too average. And if I was Fulham, I don't know how much they're looking to pay for him, but I'd probably look for a lesser known younger winger from around Europe who's got the potential, who's got a higher ceiling, rather than going for someone who is just not going to improve you.
2 seasons ago, getting 9 goal contributions. I mean, it's not the worst.
2 seasons ago, that's probably his best ever season.
It is his best ever season.
So, I mean, look, he had and for Everton.
Yeah,
he had a good
and
time.
that was his first season at Everton.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's probably his absolute ceiling. 9 goals. It's not terrible.
I'm not even thinking. I know I said it before, but he is 27 years of age now.
He's not young. He's not young anymore.
I mean, if he was like 21, 22, 23, I mean, you can probably get away with the stats he's got in his career. But at 27, can you really get away with it?
Not in the Premier League, I don't think. I mean, if we've got 9 goal contributions this season for Fulham, I'm sure they'll be happy with that. But I don't know if he will. I don't think he will.
I'm trying to think like who do Fulham have and who could they get that would be better than him.
They've got Willian.
Yeah.
They got. I guess they do need a winger, don't they? They got. What's that? They got Knockhart, but he's not going to be playing at the moment. Neeskins Cabano's gone. I
would say like he's better than majority of them. Maybe not Willian, but the rest of them that you spoke about.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't even know. I think he's probably on par with them.
And potentially, I mean, I don't really rate him, but I think he can produce moments, right? And if maybe a manager like Marco Silva can get more out of him consistently.
I'd be surprised. I wouldn't. I mean, I've never really seen it from him on a consistent basis. I would be surprised, but you never know. Maybe.
And all right, let's move on and let's talk about Yasin Bunu, the Sevilla goalkeepers. Bayern Munich have made Bunu their priority to replace Jan Sommer. Sevilla want 20 million euros, but the German club hope to negotiate a lower fee than that.
Always lowballing these Germans, constantly. Just pay the money, man. Look, we know he's only kind of keeping the seat warm until Neuer gets back. But then again, Neuer is very, very old at this point. He's, 38 or something. So
is that right, 38?
I think he's quite old, Neuer. So 37, 38. So maybe they are starting to look at a long-term replacement. I think Bunu, again, he's not a completely...
37.
Yeah, 37. So they've got to start looking beyond Manuel Neuer, and that's what they're doing. But I don't think Yasin Bunu is the answer to their long-term problem.
It's a short-term fix. He's 32.
Yeah, exactly. So why not go for a younger keeper unless they're not really looking for a long-term fix for Neuer?
I'll tell you why they're going for this kind of keeper, because they're trying to keep costs down so they can go for Harry Kane. That's the situation. So if that's the case, if that can enable them to get a player like Harry Kane in, then, it's probably a great deal.
Yeah, probably makes sense. I think Bunu would be a good cover. I think he's similar level to Jan Sommer. I think Jan Sommer's slightly better, but I think he's similar level. It's a short-term fix. It's not going to be a liability. He had a great World Cup with Morocco, had a great Europa League campaign with Sevilla as well. So I think he's a keeper on form.
Yeah, and if they get into a penalty shootout, then they're going to come up trumps, because he's a great penalty shootout keeper.
And they're Germans.
Yeah, and they're Germans.
Add that. Oh, my God.
Let's talk about Gianluca Scamacca now. We brought you the news yesterday that he could potentially be on his way to Roma. However, there has been a new club involved in the Gianluca Scamacca case now, as Romano says that West Ham have rejected Inter Milan's initial approach of 20 million euros plus add-ons for Scamacca. Inter will return with a new proposal in the next days, close to 25 million euro package. West Ham asking prices understood to be around 30 million euros. Scamacca is keen on the move, and it looks as though they have moved on, potentially being priced out for the Florian Balogun deal.
Yeah, Scamacca, they knows the Italian league. He had a very good season with Sassuolo 2 seasons ago. Hasn't worked out at West Ham, so I think he's actually probably below the market value for a player of his quality. I think it makes sense. Although what I would say is partnering Lautaro Martinez are fairly similar, so I don't know if they would want some variation, but I think they can make it work, and I think Scamacca would do really well at Inter. I think it would be a really good strike partnership, and I think relatively decent fee as well. although he didn't have a great season last season, so they got to take that into account. But they know he's a player that I think he's much more suited to Serie A than Premier League right now, especially a team like West Ham. So I think it would be a good signing.
A lot of upheaval at West Ham at the moment. Declan Rice is gone. Rumours today of Paqueta not being happy. Scamacca going. I mean, these big summer signings. No signings as well. Only Premier League team not to sign a player. Do you think it's a bit too early for them to be chucking Scamacca away?
Totally. I think they should chuck Moyes away and keep Scamacca. That's what I would do, to be honest, if I was the chairman. But it seems as though, look, I think what should have happened is Moyes has won the cup, and that there should be a graceful parting of the ways, go on a high. Because I think it's inevitable that this season he's going to get sacked. I think it's inevitable, especially the way things are going. And I actually think him being there in a weird way, it's stopping them spending money, because I feel like the board aren't sure about his future, so they don't want to invest millions on signings that he wants, because they're not sure. Even though he won the cup and he should have credit in the bank, I think that they're actually not sure about him, because for large swaths of last season, it looked like he was going to get sacked. They were battling relegation. They stayed up and they managed to get a European trophy. It's an amazing end to the season, but I think West Ham should be going in a new direction, in my opinion. I don't think Moyes is going to last the season, and I think they should be basically be proactive in this situation. Sack Moyes now, allow the parting of the ways, get a new manager who's going to play more attacking football and suit the needs of the squad they have now, and keep players like Scamacca around. That's what I would do.
I'm going to give you a prediction what I think is going to happen this season with West Ham. I think at some point early on in the season, maybe a couple of months in, Moyes gets sacked and they make their move for Marco Silva. And I think Marco Silva jumps ship and goes.
That's not a bad prediction.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Knowing Marco Silva, he likes to jump ship, doesn't he?
Yeah, first of all, he likes to jump ship. I think it's a step up for him to go to West Ham, and it's a great way for West Ham to go in a new direction as well.
What about Lampard?
I'd love that to happen, because that just confirms their relegation probably. But no, I got a feeling Marco Silva. I think it's a match that could be made in heaven as well.
Not a bad shout.
Anyway, let's move on. And this is an interesting development regarding Dusan Vlahovic of Juventus. Romano saying that Chelsea are yet to make a decision regarding a swap deal regarding Romelu Lukaku and Dusan Vlahovic. A deal would include a fee to Juventus plus Lukaku, but Chelsea rejected Vlahovic in July. They've been offered the chance again now. And when you're looking at this deal, Lukaku has no future at Chelsea. Juventus seem to want him for some reason, even though Inter Milan don't really want him or don't want to pay the money for him.
They did want him, but he was talking behind their back to Juventus, so they pulled out.
Lukaku, he's a bit nuts, isn't he? But I think this is a great deal for Chelsea. I mean, you pay a bit of money, get Vlahovic in, who hasn't had the best time at Juventus, but I still think there's a really good player in there and you get an offload Lukaku, who has just been off form for so long now, and he just doesn't have a future at Chelsea whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. I think it suits all parties, albeit the only problem is Vlahovic. It would be a fairly substantial, well, I guess 30 million plus Lukaku or whatever. I don't know what the offer is. I don't know how much money they're offering, but it would be if it's money plus Lukaku, that's a fairly substantial outlay for him. So they got to believe that this guy can really fit in their system. And I think there is a bit of question marks over his off-the-ball ability to close people down, do pressing and all that kind of stuff. But I think quality-wise, it makes sense. He's young enough that you can still take a punt on him. I think quality-wise, he's really, really good. And I think Vlahovic would be a really good addition to Chelsea's team in terms of adding that competition to Jackson. I think they'll be solid. So I think it works for everyone. Lukaku obviously has got no part to play. So you're pretty much getting a player off the books that is causing a problem at the club. Juventus get Lukaku, who we know does well in Serie A usually, and maybe in a new environment. So I think it suits everyone, this kind of deal.
Agreed. Let's move on to the last one that we've got for you today, and it's regarding Romeo Lavia of Southampton. Romano says that Liverpool will bid again for Romeo Lavia. No doubts, it was already decided last week, and the club now are ready to submit a new proposal to Southampton. There's already a green light from the player. It depends on Liverpool to agree a fee with Southampton now. And Paul Joyce of The Times says that Liverpool's have bid around £41 million, including add-ons for Romeo Lavia. The bid is still short of Southampton's £50 million asking price, but with the bid that's gone in today, you do envisage a deal getting done?
If it's 42 million, they're rejecting him on 50. There'll be some compromise, 100%.
It's 41 plus add-ons at the moment. You probably imagine that those add-ons getting to 45, something like that.
So they add a few million on, they go to like 45 plus add-ons, and bam, you got the 50 million. I think this one's very, very close. Liverpool getting a very promising midfielder at the base of their midfield. I still have question marks over a bit of their physicality in the middle. I don't think Lavia makes up for it right now. I think maybe in a few years' time he will. But right now, I still think they'll be lacking. So there is a bit of worry. And also, but then again, they've got Trent there playing at the moment in midfield. So what they do about that and who they play at wing back, it's still up in the air for Liverpool. I think there are a lot of question marks going into the season, albeit they're looking good. And I love their front line at the moment and the two midfielders behind them. So there's a lot of positives, but I think defensively, there's still a lot of question marks. And I don't think Lavia, like with Fabinho now gone, I don't think Lavia is a great replacement on the face of it in terms of like just slotting in and like becoming part of that Liverpool team. I wouldn't back Lavia to do it straight away. I still think they need a more senior defensive midfielder right now to add a bit of physicality and presence in that midfield. But Lavia is going to be a star in the Premier League. I just don't think it's going to be next season.
I don't think Lavia comes in as straight away a starter for Liverpool. I think Trent starts in that position when the new season comes. I think he played it really well at the back end of last season. So if you look at a midfield of Trent, McAllister and Szoboszlai, what does that say to you?
But he didn't play that role last season. He played like an inverted fullback role last season. He was starting on the right.
Well, he definitely has played that in pre-season then.
Yeah, I'm saying in pre-season he has been playing that. So what that looks like next season is interesting. I don't know who, because they haven't signed a right back, have they? So he has been playing that pre-season. I still doubt it. Even off, I doubt off the ball whether they're going to be able to defend. Maybe they'll just keep possession and pass teams to death. But when they're out of possession, are they going to have the required physicality to stop teams going the other way with just Trent as their defensive midfielder? I know McAllister and Szoboszlai are not bad off the ball, but they're not incredible, so they're going to need some help, and I don't think Trent's the one off the ball to really help them. But on the ball, I see them scoring bucket load of goals.
All right, well, there you have it. That is your transfer update for today. Let me know your thoughts regarding all of these news stories. We'll be back again tomorrow for another transfer update. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.